So to begin with, I am not a huge fan of the term talent. It is very true that some people just catch on to things better than others. You see that with everything, like math. Some people grab onto math, no problem. Others, it doesn't compute. It does not work. For me, when I was in school, it was chemistry. Chemistry, I was great at math. I loved math, but chemistry and biology, I couldn't keep the terms straight. It was just terrible. The same goes with animation. Some people will just catch it. Others, it's going to be a struggle. So if you think about talent in that sense, it's going to make it easier to understand and to apply different things. You're going to learn a little bit faster. Yes. And if in terms of affecting your career, if you're learning a little bit faster, it means that you're going to get positions earlier. But animation is an art form. It's not something that has, as much as we have rules, we have principles we try to follow, it is an art. It's what looks good. And that is something that I believe most people can learn. And most people can have their own style of it. So in that sense, not being talented, like that typical talent of you're not learning as fast, is not really a detriment. Yes, it might take a little bit longer to get where you want to go, but if you keep learning and progressing, you're going to make it. Now, the key here, and this is where I see a lot of people fail, is not understanding their learning style, not understanding how to improve, not the animation side of it, but the learning side of it. So an example of this is, let's say you're working on an assignment and it just doesn't work. Let's say you're trying to do a ball bounce, it's bouncing through and it's just going all over the place, didn't work out. Well, if you take that same assignment, okay, I'm going to do another ball bounce, and just dive right in again and just do the same things again, you're going to get the same result. It's not about how many times you do it, which, true, that will improve you the more you do. But if you're not focusing, and if you're not, focus isn't the right word. If you're not trying to improve the way you're learning, it's not going to really make it better any faster. So what you need to do is first figure out, what don't I understand? I'm trying to do this ball bounce. We're using the ball bounce in this example, but it could be anything. I'm trying to do this ball bounce and I'm just not getting it. Something is not working. Why? Answer that question. Figure out, what can I do to fix what I don't know? And that it's hard. It takes time. And this is where like having a mentor can be helpful, and talking through your issue with other people, your peers and other students, can be very helpful. We need to figure out, how can we improve our learning and improve our understanding of things? We need to answer questions. If we're not answering questions, and if we're just repeating the same thing over and over, hoping for a better result, it's not going to make you any better. So an example for that is, for me, when I was learning to draw, and I haven't drawn in a long time, so it's going to be super rusty here. For a very long time, when I first started learning how to draw, and when I would do gesture drawings, so I would kind of do quick gesture drawings here, and I'm just doing this from imagination, so I don't know what we're going to be getting here. Very long legs, this person. So I would do these gesture drawings. I would, get the whole body in there, get the line of action going through. And then when I get to the head, I would draw this tiny little head. on this character. And it would just be these tiny little dots for heads throughout all of it. And for a long time, I would just, okay, I'm going to get better. I'll do it more of them. I'll do 30 drawings. And I do the same thing. And every one of them had the same issue. And then I go, well, if I do more, it's going to get better. It didn't. I just kept drawing tiny heads all over the place. What I had to do was I had to sit down and go, okay, I keep making this mistake, and along with a bunch of others, and I would draw them out. So what I mean draw them out is, let's say I've done this drawing here, and let's actually add the other arm in first. So the character is just waving their arms. Just a weird, lanky person doing this. Okay, what are the issues in here? There's a lot. But when I was learning, the big things were the head. So I would, okay, make a note. This is the area that I'm struggling with. Okay, another note, and something that I still struggle with to this day, is I don't add the necks. Usually when I'm drawing the body, I'll draw the body in place here, and then I'll draw the head, and the head's going to be like that. Like the character's just doing this the whole time. I always forget to just think of the length of the neck in there, and then draw the head on top of that. So I forget about that gap. I made a note. Pay attention to this. The third thing that I always used to forget is torso. I would draw the character, so you draw the rib cage right here, and then I would draw the hips right there, like so. Well, if you've got your rib cage here, and then your hip right here, you're kind of missing something. Your whole stomach. So, again, I would, okay, think of that, draw it, and I would make a list. And don't go too far with it, especially when you're first starting, but it's like, okay, watch the head, watch the waist. And I would put this note somewhere on my computer, and then watch the neck. So that way, when I did my next drawing, I paid close attention to this. Okay, we do the rib cage. Cool. Waist. There we go. There's the stomach there. Okay, now we go into the hips. There we go. I've made that conscious choice. I've made that thought of get that in there. Okay, neck. I'm not just going to go boop, head. I'm going to go, okay, where does the neck sit? Right here. Think about it. Slow down a little bit. Now the head. Don't make my tiny little head here. Think of the size of the head. The head, if you're looking at it from the front view here, is about a third of the width of the shoulders. So if your shoulders are going out here, it's going to be a head width on each side here. So like that. So 1, 2, 3. So I need to kind of think of that. Where's my shoulders? How big is that head going to be right there? Okay. Hey, there we go. I actually did a drawing that's better when I just took that time and slowed down for those moments that I was struggling with. So this is a very simplified version of it, but the key to learning, especially if you're not, and again, I don't like this term, but talented, is figuring out what your stumbling blocks are and finding a solution to them instead of just keep running into the same brick wall. If we're just running into the same brick wall, hoping for a different result, maybe eventually you're going to break through, but there's going to be another brick wall after that. So you need to be able to sit down, look at your learning style and go, okay, what am I struggling with? What do I need to focus on? What am I fighting? What don't I understand? If you're not understanding, let's say for a bouncing ball, it's bouncing this way, going through, and your forward translation, that slide forward, if it's going all over the place and it's going fast and slow and fast and slow. Okay, why? Actually answer that question. Why is it speeding up and slowing down? Why is it doing that thing that it shouldn't be doing? Once you understand that, you'll know how to fix it. So I hope that makes sense. And the biggest thing here is that everyone can learn pretty much anything. It's going to be harder for some than others, definitely. And a lot of it also comes from just personal background. So for example, when I started learning animation, the Maya side of it for me was super easy because I had been using Maya for like 6 years before I started learning animation. Not in animation, but modeling and rigging and all that kind of stuff. So I knew the interface. I knew how to navigate Maya. I knew how to fix Maya when it broke. That was a big plus for me. I didn't know how to draw. My brother, who also took animation, or we learned animation together, he knew how to draw. So while he struggled with Maya, when it came to planning out his shots, I would be doing these like little doodles. Like essentially my drawings were something like this. This was the extent of my planning drawings when I started learning animation, just a little dot character there. Cameron was at the point where he was planning out like how the character is going to hold out an object, and he drew out the whole hand, and it's going to be, okay, here's the arc of the hand, this is the spacing of the fingers, and it's like, it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful hand pose, and he just drew it out just to kind of get an idea of how it would look. And it's like, what the heck? I'm barely making a stick figure. He was way ahead of me in that area. So there's definitely going to be some things that people are better at, and it's going to help them work through what they're struggling with or help them learn a little bit faster. But again, as long as you take that time to step back and analyze what you're struggling with and understand why you're struggling with it, then you're going to go much faster. If you don't do that, and this goes for anyone, honestly, if you don't do that, you're just going to keep struggling and it's going to feel like you're not advancing. I think you have to have an eye for what is wrong and what is right for that. But as a beginner, I find it hard even to know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm thinking asking a person knowledgeable is better. So that's the thing. Like I was saying earlier, that's where having a mentor or talking to your peers is important. So when you're first starting out, you're not going to know why something is wrong. You're not going to know how to fix it. That's totally okay. You're not expected to figure it out all on your own. But when you ask for help and someone tells you, oh, you have to fix this or do so and so to fix it, it's not just a matter of applying it and going, okay, when moving on. It's a matter of going through and, okay, why is this the way it is? Ask yourself, what does this fix? Why does this fix the thing that it does? Why am I doing this change? Asking those questions is what's going to make you understand why you're doing it in the first place. If they just tell you, oh, you have to do this in the graph editor, and you just do that because that's what they told you, when you do your next shot, you're not going to know why you did it in the first place. And you might not do it again and you run into the same mistake, or you might try to do it when you shouldn't and it just runs into a new problem. So, and this goes for anything, we have to ask ourselves those questions. We need to be active in our learning. If we don't know the answer, we ask people. We seek the information. We look it up online. We look at videos. We do the research. And research also includes asking people, asking for feedback. But once we get that feedback, once we see that video, it's a matter of applying that, not just obeying and just blindly doing it, but thinking through why those things are there. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense.